Activist Professor Rosemary Dzuvichu Saturday de tai olop age din de ekjon manubra tai ge murabole dhamki dia yad kori na itu mamla do kinaga jaise aru Mikey Khan ki samna kori ase itu share korise 16 days of activism to end digital violence against women Nyatho resort chumgi dmade kotha koria homoide tai police Khan logodebi mon napunja janaise.
One of the victims, maybe the last 2 months of digital violence, one night I got a late call from my younger brother who calls me up almost around 11 o'clock and tells me, hey, why don't you look at the messages I'm sending you? I looked and it was a horrifying message, I'm going to fix you, I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill all other women. I'm going to kill all other women, feminists, and all other young, old, and so much of derogatory words were posted in that. And it was my own brother calling me to read it. And I said, this is too much. At 2 o'clock, I forwarded it to the SP Cybercrime. Don't you think that's the right authority to save you? Next morning, 10 o'clock, I filed an FIR. I said, what nonsense is this? I've never met this fellow. And all these young people, they want to write nonsense and they think they can disappear behind the shadow of digital media. They cannot. You cannot anymore. And all of you young girls here, we all must stand up together and we must remember that this kind of nonsense should not be tolerated, and you have the right, no matter what people call you, you have the right to file a complaint. And that's what I did. The very next morning I filed a complaint by afternoon. One thing I will say about our police is they have become very effective now. But I have something else to say about the police. First, for arresting, they're very effective. So by the afternoon, they had already arrested the gentleman, whom I didn't know at all. But after he was arrested, I was so mad. I was driving in the traffic of Kohima, heavy traffic going on. I get a call and I look and it's a top police person. So I said, my God, I must accept this call. So when I accept the call, my hand on the steering wheel and the other on my phone, I get a query from one of the top Nagaland police officials asking me, Madam, what do you want to do with this person? Alright? You're a policeman, I'm not. You know the law, I don't. But I know my rights. When I file a complaint, I definitely expect you to take action. Who am I to tell you from Kohima, okay, kill him in Dimapur or what? I'm just a citizen, and like me, there will be also many others who will also file complaints. How can a top official call you, the victim, and ask you, what shall we do with him? This is what happened to me, okay? But because I can afford to fight with the police, I've already had a long legal case from the Naga Mothers Association. Two of us, we had filed on corruption in the NRHM, which went on for more than 10 years. We took it up to the Supreme Court. And because of that, I received death threats, and I already had 4 years of police security with me, and I really got fed up of bodyguards. And yet, the case finally came to trial. And I thought, this is a repeat again of people trying to kill me, but definitely not only for women reservation. He wrote there, he wants to kill me because of women reservation. Anyone who wants to talk about women's rights, you better be careful, I'm going to kill all of you type of thing, That was what was written. And what horrified me was that in the group that the man had posted, it had members of 10,000. And the next morning, after my threat, it rose to 11,000 followers. I'm a very regular social media person, and you have to keep in touch also, update yourself with your students. So I do interact a lot. The other group, the other Facebook group in which he posted, you will not believe, I never knew. I also am a member of many social media groups, but I never knew we had a Facebook group that had 22,000 members. Can you believe? This is a Facebook group called Chronicles of the Nagas. See, I mean the kind of crime that it enlarges into, where he may not kill me, the person may not kill you, but it entices and it sort of influences other people to watch out for you and kill you. And it's so defamatory and so derogatory. I've never met him in my life. And you have this gentleman, and he's not a young man. I got so mad because when this, it's sub judice, but I'm still talking about it because I'm angry. When this case started, it was not the accused trying to defend himself. Do you know who was defending him? The police. The police trying to tell me, he's mad. He's mad. I'm not going to accept it. No. He will have to prove that he's mad. What is this nonsense, no? You're inciting violence, hatred, threatening to kill all Naga women, young and old, who talk about women's rights. This is the threat he gave. And then you're trying to excuse that this man is mad. How can you say that? Where are the medical papers? What is this? And why is the police doing that? The job of the police is to investigate. I wish the police were sitting here today. The job of the police is to investigate. The job of the police is not to speak for the victim, to speak for the accused. This case is ongoing. And the tussle was, I'm just going to end there and then I'm going to talk about my concerns because I don't want to make myself very famous. But you know, one irritating thing is that we need to know our rights, all of us. We must know that when a crime is committed, you have a right to file in the town you're living. I may be living in Mon, so what? I'll file in Mon. I may be living in Kipere, so what? You file there. You're supposed to file there, have the case there, and it is supposed to be like that. But in my case, I could not understand her. I'm from Kohima village. In my case, they brought down the case to Dipupar, where the guy supposedly lives. So you can just imagine what happened to me. I'm someone who's never going to listen to you because I know my rights. And therefore the tussle was not between the accused and me, but it was between the police and me. Okay, after the crime is done, it is now between the police and me. The police are forcing me to come down to Dipupar. I even got a threat letter from the OC Dipupar. Who is he? I really don't care. But we have to know our rights. He sends me a letter from Dipupar. I've never seen his face. And he tells me, you come to Dipupar police station and appear before 12 o'clock that day, or this. Never in my life, as a human rights defender for many years, because I looked after the Human Rights Law Network and worked with lawyers from across the country, I have never seen such a letter. And so that is going to be among my recommendations, my main concern. When you receive you're already under threat, and that to death threat, and then you receive also from the police threatening you to come down to Dimapur where I don't live. And I don't like Dimapur because I'm a pakka Barabasti wala, you know. I come to Dimapur, I rush back to Kohima. I come to Dimapur, it's too hot, I'm going back, you know. When friends plead and, you know, say, let's have a good evening, come and stay back. I said, no, I don't like Dimapur, I'm going back to Kohima. So with that kind of a mentality, I've grown up. My mother never spoke Nagamese, and she hated Nagamese, and towards the end of her life, she was literally speaking all kinds of Nagamese to her laborers. And I also have problems with Nagamese, you know. Now I promote Nagamese to Burmese Nagas, and we are trying to bring a project, you know, trying to decipher Nagamese for the Burmese Nagas who speak only in Nagamese. But my Nagamese is terrible. So, you know, in the midst of all this, the tension has been big because now it is not between this young gentleman who is in custody, but between me and the police. Now, who do the police want to protect is my question. Who are they protecting? I'm also better than a policeman. In my weeks of silence, I have found out everything I want to know about this man. Totally connected to top politicians. So I am angry. As a victim, I'm angry, but I want to see justice. Like me, there will be many other hundreds of young women. Stand up. No one can do this to you. We have to stand up. And until we stand up, society will not hear. I'm really, really grateful to the Women Commission who came all out to help me with legal advice, with so many, you know, show cause notices, even to the top police official, to the DGP, imagine, in such a case, whoever gives a show cause notice to the DGP. So don't glorify this DGP anymore. I've seen on social media the kind of glorification we're giving. What is he doing there, sitting there? So our whole system in the state is politicized. The whole system is politicized. We must break this. We must break this where justice must come to a victim, to any situation, to a young girl, to an old mother, whatever. Justice must come rising above politics. Otherwise, at the rate we are going on, violence against women, this is all a big tamasha for them. For the men who sit in authority, for the men who don't care about what's happening or what you are feeling. Many organizations, I was surprised myself. I thought I was the most unpopular person in Nagaland because of the women reservation. I had so many tribe leaders who were cursing me for years till we got the women reservation done. And so I know where I stand and I know what's happening. But the amount of support that came from so many organizations, individuals, friends whom I thought had died called me up again, saying, hey, we are here, what's this? And it made me feel guilty because I thought, my God, I never thought of them, I never called them, and my friends are still there. So I think it's very, very important to understand that women's rights is here to stay. No amount of threats, no amount of death threats or whatever is going to influence us, and we must put an end to this kind of digital violence. And my main concern is also the fact that in one of these Facebook groups, which is Unified Nagaland for Christ, I'm sure some of you might be members there, is that this guy managed to post in both because he was a moderator and administrator in the group, so no one could stop him. But interestingly, one of the guys, the administrator in the Unified Nagaland for Christ group, is the same gentleman who wrote terrible things about S.C. Jamir's wife, if you remember, and who wrote about all our women being, this and that. Now, why is he still sitting there? He's still sitting there because we forgave him. We have all these community meetings, isn't it? And then we forgive. But he's still sitting there as an administrator of this Facebook group that allowed these kind of terrible death threats, I will kill her, I will fix her kind of thing. He's still sitting there in that group as an administrator. So in my FIR, I have asked that these administrators also be investigated. And this is the reality of digital violence. I'm a grandmother, don't think I'm a young woman. Huh? I'm a grandmother, and I was thinking, what's the problem with this young man? After so many years of teaching and giving my best, what grudge does he have? He's not only talking about women reservation. He's connected to a lot of other things. And that is why till today, the case stands. I'm not withdrawing the case. I've had people coming to me, half are the young women who call me up and says, Madam, please don't withdraw. Please don't withdraw because the same thing will happen to us. And on the other side, I have the older ones saying, forgive him, you're a mother. I may be a mother, but I know how to fight my rights. Being a mother doesn't mean you forgive just like that. Let him have the guts to tell why he did it, who bought him, who paid him. Who pays all these digital savvy people on screen to write terrible things about their opponents, especially politically too? Who pays them? Who gives them this kind of money? This is the reality of Nagaland. And I think you must remember and think what I'm talking about. And for that, I'm going to begin with amendment of the Nagaland State Women Commission Act. I drafted the Women Commission Act many years back. When the Women Resource Development wanted me to draft it, I drafted it. I drafted it because I'm an expert on women's studies. I was a director of women's studies in the university. And I consulted so many state women commissions across the country. And I thought I gave a very good, solid act to the state. When the State Women Commission Act came out, it was half of what I drafted. So I approached the department. I said, what happened? This Women Commission is just a research body, a recommendation body. What happened to the Women Commission that is a court? It has the powers of a court, and it should have the powers of a court to summon, to do all kinds of things. Unless the Women Commission does that, there's no point having a Women Commission. And sadly, I must tell you that the reply I got from the government officers was that one of the top bureaucrats, who was a lady, slashed down all those powerful points for the Women Commission. And so at this point in time, I cannot blame our Naga men. It is our own women. And when I confronted the lady, I said, why did you slash all those very important things? This is the first Women Commission we are having. And it's a pride for us to have a strong commission. Why have you slashed all those important things? Because Kerala has, Maharashtra has some of the strongest women commission bodies. And then she said, no, the ones who are coming are all old ladies, which meant that maybe she wanted to be in the commission and couldn't, so she slashed down a lot of points. This is our mentality, and I think we must begin to talk about ending violence by demanding that the Women Commission Act must be amended to give more powers to the Women Commission and to make it sure that it has a status. And it actually is supposed to have the status of a Minister of State, which we don't have at all. We always dump women there thinking, oh, let them look after women. It's not that. This is full-fledged, and we fought for it. And we fought for so many years for it, with every political party that came. When the Congress came, I joined just for a short while, because I said, I will join if you set up the Women Commission, if you do this for women. And we did it. But what happened is, behind the scene, the top leader was actually trying to browbeat the other women and say, no, she wants Nagaland State Women Commission, but let's have a joint Women Commission. Whoever heard of a joint Northeast Women Commission? But most of our politicians think we are dumb. And that was how the story of the Women Commission started. We are really happy. We have some strong members with a very, very strong legal advisor there. And I think we must, first of all, make sure that it is amended and it comes up. Secondly, we must, at least from this, a lot of our violence-related questions deal with the police. We are not the police. Our jobs are totally different. And therefore, it is very important to have capacity training, capacity building training of top-ranking police officers and investigative officers. I think it's very important. They literally pretend they don't know, because I'm sure all of them know the law, and make us also feel like fools because we keep on demanding for certain rights of ours. So I think it's very important for capacity building of all the things, and also to know the latest laws under the BNS. Most of them might not have heard of BNS, and I think it's important. Under the BNS, the victim, you have the right for your statement to be taken inside your house also. Okay? Why should they drag you to a police station? And why should they call you from Kohima down to Dipupar just for your statement and threaten you if you don't reach Dipupar before 12 o'clock, we'll see you kind of thing, So I think it's very important for the police themselves to know what is our entitlement as women under the BNS. And the police needs to respond immediately to FIRs. Very often your FIR goes around. The FIR is meant to be implemented immediately. This is what the law says. And in my case, the FIR could not be found the very next day. And I had people asking me, can you send a copy of a FIR by WhatsApp? Why should I send you by WhatsApp? I've already gone to the SP Crimes Office and given. So your job is to take from the PHQ. So this lack of this communication gap also between officials themselves, it points to so much of politics. I just couldn't understand what is going on in the state. The Forensic Science Laboratory. We have followed, as the Nagamadhas team, we have followed the Pimla murder case. We have been looking and writing even to the governor, met the governor also, Governor Bala, on Vihosono's murder. And I think a lot of these rape, murder, crime cases have got stuck because of the forensic, the absence of a forensic lab. How many times are we going to write about it? How many times? Every time a rape and crime and murder happens, we write. Is the government listening? We said the same thing to the governor again sometime last week. But I think it's important that this becomes a part of the recommendations of all people who care about women and their safety, that the government must set up. Let's forget the Hornbill. Isn't it? Investing in the Hornbill, what about that money being invested into a forensic science laboratory? I think this is what we need. If we want to protect women, we must have the basics to protect women. Without a lab, they will take 5, 6, 7 months. Look at the Pimla murder case. How long it is going. And what kind of excuses we've heard so far. Full-fledged women police stations in all districts. Right now we have women police stations in some districts, but not in all the districts. And yet these women police stations are pathetic. They hardly have very good equipment, they don't have good transport, and all the crimes against women are centered in their police stations. I think it's important we support them by demanding that the best equipments, transport, and more personnel is given in these women police stations so that, and in all the districts, not Kohima. Why should everyone run to Kohima or Dimapur? It should be there in all the district headquarters, well-staffed, with the best of equipments. Don't you get angry when you see the police latest, and I love cars, so when I see these police latest vehicles, in some of the top model cars going as escort, wouldn't that be better to be used by the women police officers running around searching for accused and criminals? I think there's a very different psyche here within the state politicians, our women, and our public. Free legal aid. We know the Nagaland Legal Services Authority is doing very well, but at the same time, I think it's very important to have more free legal aid services for all victims. Because many times we have seen that you want to approach certain lawyers. There are some people, who keep calling up, they need lawyers, and you feel obliged to help out, but at the same time you also know young lawyers also need to be paid their fees. But I think government lawyers really need to be serious about free legal aid, and I think much more of this should be encouraged, and I think we must make that one of our demands, at least in this. And while talking about free legal aid, I also want to talk about the Rennie Wilfred case. This sexual harassment at the workplace began in Nagaland University many, many years back. When it started, the Vice Chancellor, with whom we were always fighting, he didn't like us that we put up a proposal for an internal complaints committee. And therefore, he made a male professor the head of the sexual harassment committee. So for that, again, we had to go into protest. And finally, we had a lady professor who headed the sexual harassment committee. When we brought it to the police station, the police had not read anything about sexual harassment at the workplace. And so times have changed. Today, because of so many prominent cases, we are at this. But when we have a top bureaucrat who is actually fighting in a trial court under the POCSO case in Noklak, and comes and does the same crime in Kohima, we have met all the victims. And then when the State Women Commission takes up the case of these young women who are actually being harassed at the workplace every day by this gentleman, he has the guts to file a case again on them, on the State Women Commission. I think it is high time. I've also spoken to the chairperson this morning. I think women organizations must come together on this very important case, because the top bureaucracy must not take us for granted. Women have a right to protest. Sexual harassment at the workplace is as serious as rape and murder. It's as serious as that. Why do we always question the identity or the character of the woman? And on top of that, the only body that is there to protect women is also now being dragged to the court, not as a body but individually by name. So then adds to the legal hassles that one has to go through. I think these are very serious indications. As a professor, I'm looking at indicators. What is wrong with the state? These are indications that things are not good in the state, that women are not safe, when the main body that is supposed to protect us is also being dragged to the court by the accused who's actually facing a trial in another case. Have you ever heard of such ridiculous situations in other countries or in other states? It is embarrassing, and it points directly to what is going on within our state government. And I'm not happy with the state government. You can make out by the comments I'm giving. Free legal aid, and then time-bound police investigation. In Nagaland, over the years, following police cases, we find that most police people think that investigation can go on and on. And so we respectfully wait for them. We wait and wait and wait. And we did the same. In a corruption case, we waited. The police never got over with their investigation. So me and my friend, we dragged the Nagaland police to the court. And this was the first time the Nagaland police was dragged to the court for their tardy investigation. And then only they came running to the court saying, no, we are doing this, then do it and let us know what is going on. So this kind of investigation, particularly in crimes against women, I think we must make sure that it is done fast, sexual rape, crime, whatever.
Ami scam laga shikar na hua age jane bole pare. Scammers का नकली मैसेजेस डांगोर वादा और टिप ग्रुप का जुलाई गिना अपने के जुकाए एक बार जुली चेक करिया परा अपनी लगा पैसा बचा बोले पारबो खुदाई इन्वेस्ट ना करिया आगे वेरीफाई करिबी सेबी इंटरैक्टिव जोन विजिट करिगिना आइबी हिकिबी और मिनट स्टे स्कैम स्मार्ट होबी होशियार थागिबी जानकारी रखिबी स्टॉल 100 डे सेबी वर्सेस स्कैम मिशन ज्वाइन करिबी